All right. Welcome. Thank you all for making it out on this somewhat muggy New York evening for a talk on CI/CD with containers. Normally, my name's Ariel. I normally host the New York Kubernetes Meetup. We'll be back here in 2 weeks to talk storage on Wednesday. That's also with the DigitalOcean event, so I encourage you to, it's on the page, sign up, come back. We'll have someone from Portworx and some other company. Gridgate, I believe it is. We'll be talking about stateful apps with Kubernetes. So the hashtag DO Meetup to encourage you to broadcast, tweet, take pictures. I have some swag to give you. In return. Yes. Oohs and ahs. With winter and fall coming, I highly, highly recommend these. I have a pair at home. We fight over these. And my 6-year-old often loses, so it's not funny. So we have this, and also ready-made for fall. And we have this in different sizes, so fear not, you will not have a big size if that will get you something that you want. And so these are the things to encourage you. There's a couple of things. So if you ask a question during the presentation, you get a ticket. If you tweet, you get a ticket. If you tweet with a photo, I'll give you 2 tickets. How about that? Pardon? Hold up the slippers again. Slippers. All right. Since I don't want you coming up to me while the presentation is going on, it'll be rude. Between presentations, we have a little lightning talk afterwards. Just come up to me, just show me, and I'll give you the tickets. And then after the lightning talk, which runs about 10 minutes, we'll hold the raffle, and somebody will go home very happy. 2 people will go home very happy. Everybody gets a promo code. So DO Meetup 15 will give you $15 credit on DigitalOcean's platform, where you can go and try the things that you will see today. And so I encourage you to do that. Hacktoberfest 2017. It's coming October 3rd, Nancy?
It comes at the, well, Oktoberfest launches at the end of September. Big first day is October.
So late September, early October. Look for more info coming from us.
Official event October 3rd. I will announce more details.
Official event coming October 3rd. Who's heard of Hacktoberfest? Yeah, right? Like GitHub. So DigitalOcean partners with GitHub to actually run these events around the country and even abroad, right? Like I think there will be Hacktoberfest Bangalore happening. And so look for more info on that. These are a little out of order. My name is Ariel Jatib. I'm a founder at a company called StackPoint Cloud. We make it really easy for you to deploy Kubernetes clusters at a bunch of cloud providers, including DigitalOcean. We have Kari coming from, he's the CTO and a founder at Kontena, and so he'll be presenting today, and then we'll have a brief 10-minute lightning talk from Paul Ort, who is somewhere around here. And he's lead engineer at a company called Dependable IO. One more announcement, actually, before I forget. David, where are you? OK. David is going to tell us.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, my name is David. One of the founders of an organization called Techeria. We do events for Latinos in tech, and we create like a community for Latinos in tech. We're having a startup weekend in a couple of weeks, which is kind of like a hackathon, but it's more like a learning type of thing. You go there, and during the weekend, there's going to be mentors and coaches, and you like create your own startup during the weekend, and there are judges and prizes at the end. It's a pretty fun event. We're going to send you like the link to register later, or you can just find me, and I'll give you like a nice discount code. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thank you. All right. Anything else happening in the community somebody wants to share? Good? All right, let's get on with the talks. Kari, come on up. I will plug in. If you have questions at any point, just raise your hand. We have a couple people with microphones around the room. Let them come to you so we can get the question for an online audience that we have and also for the recordings for posterity later. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Jari Kolehmainen and I'm a CTO and a co-founder of Kontena Inc. Kontena develops a container management platform. Kontena provides also cloud services, so you don't have to set up all the management nodes. And we also produce open source management platform that you can use on your own computers. But today I'm going to talk about CI/CD pipelines and how do you benefit those with containers, or what is the actual catch there. So who is actually using containers or Docker today? Oh, that's quite a nice amount. How about pipelines, CI/CD pipelines? Wow, great. Quite many. So the agenda is today that I'm going through the basics of CI/CD pipelines. Then I'm going to show some nice, cool demo. How you can build a CI/CD pipeline on top of Kontena, on top of DigitalOcean, and yeah, in the end, just shoot questions. I try to answer them. So what is this thing called continuous delivery? Martin Fowler said that, I think it was something like 2013, that it's actually a software discipline where you build a software in a such way that you can deploy it at any point of time, always to production or to any environment. And this is great. More precisely, your team is going to focus on smaller steps. You try to create a small fix or feature and deploy that to production. You don't try to do big releases once in a while. You ship all the time. And this means that you have to automate every step. And that's basically the pipeline thing here. So you develop your code base, you push it to GitHub or something else, and the magic happens. And this way, you will get faster feedback cycles from your monitoring system and also from your customers or end users. And yeah, you might already do this, actually. How many are doing this? Oh yeah, few hands. So how many is actually so brave that if you have to now ship the latest code base to production, you can do it with a single button click? How many hands? Yeah. Well, but that's the basic thing for the continuous delivery. You should be able to do that. If you don't, then you don't have the full pipeline or the automation in place. Okay, so how do we get there? It's not easy, but the main thing actually here is like a team culture. DevOps is a quite used word, but here it means that your team has to have the right mindset for this. You cannot anymore throw like software packages over the fence to ops guys and hope for the best. You should have like a shared responsibility. So if you build something, you also run it, you also monitor it and maintain it. Nice. And also you need the automation. But the first thing is to have the so-called DevOps culture, team spirit there, so that everyone is doing the same things. Why do we need containers here? The hype around containers is, of course, that you will have much better resource utilization from your data center. And that's, of course, true. But the main thing here is that you will get better automation. You will get portability for your application. You can run the same container on your own laptop, on a test environment, on production, or basically anywhere. And because of that, you will get this nice unified operations interface, because the container is always the same. You probably use the same tools on every environment. Yeah. Why should I care or you care? Good question. Yeah. Everybody aims for the speed of development, speed of shipping new features to production or any environment. And in the end of the day, you want to go faster than your competition. And you cannot do that if you don't have this automation in place, nice pipeline, confidence that everything works, even if you are shipping all the time. So that's why it matters. Yeah, more benefits if the agile thing is not enough. You reduce risks because you deploy smaller changes to production. It will give you a new definition of done. In the past, it might be something like a team or a developer says that it's done because I pushed it to the version control and it works on my machine. But with these pipelines, definition of done is that you have deployed it to production and it works. This way you will get faster feedback from your customers, from your systems, and you can fix them faster. Then some misconceptions when talking about containers and, oh, there.
Yeah, just a quick question. So everyone's got different metrics on efficiencies.
Yep.
I've seen some where it's like dev to non-dev ratios over time, and you've seen like system to services ratios. Like in your experience in clients, do you have any kind of, I guess, well, have you seen different other kind of measurements of like improvement in terms of like how software is being delivered?
Not really that kind of things. The usual, the biggest, if you mean what is the biggest benefit or thing that you can measure there?
Yeah, I guess there's a KPI at the end of the day that the business is looking for.
Yeah.
It's different for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, you can measure it different ways. So I've seen that was a couple different measurements I've seen people, but it's always client specific. So I'm just wondering if you've seen stuff that, I mean, how do you measure success, I guess, at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think it depends on project, it depends on company, and it's really hard to say one thing that you can track on, but usually it's the speed of your team that you can focus on.
When you say speed, do you mean the high speed of delivery or the speed of quality of the software that you're trying to build in a production environment?
It's both. So, because you have confidence on your development environment, on the test automation, you can ship features faster and the quality goes up because you're shipping just small, tiny amount of features to production. If you try to deploy a big set of features, you usually end up having a lots of bugs, and then you are wondering what's going on, and yeah. Okay, back to misconceptions. So, yeah. As you probably know, containers are no magic bullet here. Containers don't build these pipelines automatically. And of course, you can do these CI/CD pipelines without containers. Many people do that. It's okay. It's okay, but you will lose some of the benefits in this pipeline if you have to ship the actual artifacts without containers. It's doable, but it's more work. It's not so simple and beautiful pipeline anymore. So containers can help us here because of the packaging, because you will get the same environment in every data center, every machine, every cloud provider. So yeah, this will save you quite amount of time when you're implementing things. Okay, so pipeline in a nutshell is basically something that you are building. In this case, you are building a Docker image or container. You test it, and then you ship it. You deploy it to some environment. Just 3 things. Sounds so simple. And it is. Some best practices that you can use when you try to build this thing. You should, first of all, script everything. If you use containers, if you use Docker images, it's almost done already for you. Then you should version control everything. If you have configuration, if you have some deployment scripts, you should put them in version control. And no exceptions. You have to have everything there. How is this thing different with containers? You still have the 3 steps. You have the build phase, you have the test phase, you have the deploy phase, but actually each of these phases are concentrating on the image, the actual sandbox for your environment. So everything is inside the image. This helps. You can focus on one thing, the image. So when you are building the image, you're fetching the source code and all the dependencies from version control systems, from whatever system it is. You will put it in an image and tag it. So if you use Git for version control, you probably want to use the Git hash or Git tags for the actual tagging. And this way you will actually have a nice library of images of your services or applications, so you can roll back, do whatever you want, and you will always get the same outcome when you are deploying some version to different environments. Okay. What tools do we have here? The most famous one is probably Jenkins. Everyone knows Jenkins, right? Yeah. It's pretty good, but it's not designed for containers. You can, of course, build container images from Jenkins systems. You can use it however you like, because Jenkins has like millions of plugins. You can do fancy things with it, but it's complicated. Then there is this GitLab CI. That's probably pretty good. I haven't actually used that. Is anyone using GitLab CI? At least one? Yeah. Yeah, true. I have heard good things about it, so it's probably pretty solid. Also with containers. And the last one is a newcomer, Drone, that is built for containers. And today I'm going to show you how you can use Drone with Kontena and with DigitalOcean. What is Drone? So it's designed for Docker containers. It's a CI/CD platform. It's very easy to set up. It's actually running inside a container. It will give you isolated builds. So builds happen in a container. Each step in a pipeline happens in a container. And if you need to add some features to Drone, every plugin is also a container, so there are no side effects, none. Okay, let's go deeper. What is Kontena? We are the developer-friendly container and microservices platform. We try to make complex orchestration systems really easy. So in a way, we are in the same position than that DigitalOcean has, because we think that user interfaces, APIs, everything related to the system should be simple and usable and fun. Yeah. This guy once said that, yeah, you should make things simple. So in a way, this Kontena platform is turnkey solution. You just hit the button, you will get the platform, then you can add the nodes from, let's say, from DigitalOcean, and then everything just works. It's almost like magic. Okay. Now the demo time. Any questions before we dive into the demo? Nope. Okay. So we are trying to do this. There is this developer who is pushing some changes to GitHub. And we have been connecting Drone, the CI/CD platform, to GitHub. It will notice the changes and trigger build. And this build has multiple steps. The first step is to actually test the code. If that passes, it actually builds the image, pushes that to the Docker Hub, and then triggers deployment to Kontena. And based on which branch, or is it the tag, or these kind of things, it will deploy to a different environment. Yeah, so let's see if we can make it. Just a second. Yeah. So first, I'm going to show you how to create this Kontena platform where you can attach these droplets, and then how you can deploy actual containers on top of that. So it's easy. I'm logged into the Kontena Cloud. I want to have new platform. I don't want to use these my old ones here. I'm creating a new one. Just click the button. Let's call it Shark Tank. Is it a good name? Yeah, probably is. Let's put it in US East. This is the management interface, so it should be close to your nodes. It doesn't have to be, but it's, yeah, the latency is smaller. And now it's spinning up the Shark Tank platform for us. It takes about a minute. And while the spinner is spinning, Kontena Cloud is actually creating databases, DNS records, the actual REST APIs for you, and all the credentials and stuff like that. And once this is finished, you have, you have everything ready, and you can attach those droplets and then deploy some applications. Yeah. I'm going to show you, while it's spinning there, the actual application that we are using today in this pipeline demo. So it's basically a Ruby application that provides a web interface. It uses MongoDB database. We're deploying a MongoDB cluster in a replica set on top of this platform. And yeah, that's it. Not too many moving pieces so that this doesn't get too complicated. And the syntax is pretty much the same as with Docker Compose, so it should be pretty easy to get started. Let's see. Spinner is still spinning. Oh, almost there. Now we can add droplets. Oh, I need the token. I have it here. Don't look. Nobody didn't see that. Yeah, so we want to provide these nodes to DigitalOcean. So we can do it from Web UI. Of course, you can do it from the CLI, or you can use Terraform or your own scripts to bring up these nodes, or you can just install the agent to your own computer or servers or whatever. Let's click that. It will open this web terminal. Let's hit enter, token. It will prompt to choose the actual data center. Let's choose the best one, the New York one. Then Kontena by default uses CoreOS, Container Linux. You can choose the channel, stable, beta, alpha. For drone, you should actually today pick alpha because drone needs very recent Docker engine. Otherwise, use stable. But we are brave today, we use alpha. Then the droplet size. For this example, let's try the 2 GB one. It's good. And we have, I think I chose the initial size 3, so we should actually boot up 3 droplets so that the cluster will come up nicely. Like this. Oh, and then the SSH key. Yeah, that's mine. Okay, now the droplets are coming up. And what happens behind the scenes is that the Kontena is actually talking to DO REST API. It will boot up those droplets using CoreOS. It will inject the correct configuration to those droplets. And once they will come up, they will call home back to the Kontena Cloud platform and create a cluster. And you don't have to do anything. Yeah.
Okay. encryption. For security purposes, if you want to build something that is secure, will be Kontena will
Hold on
have
1
it
second. We're just going to give you a microphone.
I mean, the security parameter will be secure or not when you're doing when you're using Kontena.
Yeah, so the configuration and the network side of Kontena is using IPsec. So when you are booting up these droplets, it will configure the private network, and it will use IPsec like VPN mesh between the nodes. So all the traffic in a cluster is encrypted. And of course, the communication from the nodes to the cloud is also encrypted. So you're safe. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's see if the last one comes up. I hope so. And actually, you could add these nodes from different data centers in DO, or you can actually mix and match like DO and your own private data center, and it will automatically connect those nodes using the IPsec tunnels, and yeah, you can build hybrid clusters with just a couple of commands. Okay, it seems to take a while. Maybe we can go further. Or is my connection broken? I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. Let's switch to pre-made environment here, so that we don't have to wait anymore. So I have done the same thing previously. We have the 3 nodes here. I have deployed a bunch of services here, like the load balancer. It's just a Kontena stack install Kontena ingress LB, and it will create a load balancer in your cluster. I had a MongoDB stack also. I think it's in this repo. Yeah, it's also a YAML file. And if you install this stack to this cluster, you will get the MongoDB replica set automatically. You don't have to configure anything. It's there, up and running. And we also provide a drone stack for the GitHub integration. So drone stack can be also deployed with just single command. You just have to configure it with your GitHub OAuth credentials. It will prompt those and just type them in, and it will deploy that, and yeah, it works. I think I have it here running. So this drone demo contena.io is actually this service here. And as you can see, it consumes something like 10 megabytes of memory, so really lightweight. And it has 2 agents running inside the cluster. These are basically the worker agents which actually do the building. The server is just the web UI and management. Okay.
Question.
Oh.
Yeah, quick question. So this is for an individual cluster, right? Do you support multicasting?
Yes.
What about, because I'm looking at a use case, if I have 2 different host names for my database and my application, right?
Yeah.
Do you, okay, so you say you support multicasting, so I'm guessing you support service discovery as well?
Yeah, Kontena has built-in service discovery using DNS names. So every service that you are deploying to Kontena platform will have their own DNS name. So you can just...
Also, I can...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay, let's get moving. We have the to-do example here. Let's try to push some changes to application. Okay.
So when you were setting this up and creating this, it specified 3 nodes.
Yeah.
Is that a recommendation? Is that scalable? Can you edit that?
For production environment, the recommendation is to have at least 3 nodes, but you can scale up from there.
And to scale up, you just do that through the UI, or would you have to repeat the process?
You can just basically say DigitalOcean node create and give the same parameters and define which data center you want to have those droplets and stuff like that. But it's pretty easy. Okay, so yeah.
The UI you were just using, are you hosting that, or is it like a service?
You mean this?
Yeah.
This is Kontena Cloud, so we are hosting this.
Okay. And that connects to our servers?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
Is that the only way to use Kontena?
No, it's not the only way. You can use Kontena without this cloud UI. You can create your own, like the master nodes, and connect your own agents to them, and you don't have to use this if you don't want. But why? This is cool.
I have another question.
Oh, yeah?
So the organization that I work for has a lot of clients that don't trust the cloud because corporate.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you can use private data centers. How well does this integrate with private data centers and whatnot?
Yeah. If you mean the cloud part, or
So what I'm saying is that a lot of because corporate, they don't like Amazon Web Services or Azure or whatever.
Yeah.
So for example, one of the clients is Rite Aid. They have their own data center. They have multiple data centers. How well would something like this integrate with that existing infrastructure?
really well, because you can just install the agent in those private data centers and it will just work. You can use the cloud, this management UI for that. Okay. Or if the customer doesn't want to touch cloud in any way, then you can bring up these Kontena masters in the private data center. So then it's everything there.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Now I'm trying to ship the actual code. Let's see. So I have a layout template here. Let's change something. To-dos for sharks. To-dos for sharks. Yeah. Let's try to actually make the change. Better title. Let's push the code, hope for the best. Then switch to the drone. Now you can see that because drone was integrated to GitHub, I pushed the code to the GitHub. It will actually trigger build. And my configuration is basically here. There is a pipeline, there is a test phase. It will test Ruby RSpec unit tests. There are maybe 3 tests. Then there is a staging build that happens when I'm pushing something to the do nuke branch. It will build the actual Docker image. It will use the drone commit variable. So each commit will get a new tag or new image. And the deployment phase in this pipeline is actually using Kontena CLI image and using secrets from the drone. You can just add tokens and secret stuff there and use them in a pipeline. And this actually just calls the Kontena CLI Kontena Stack install, or if it's installed, Kontena Stack upgrade. That's it. And if we check the actual Kontena YAML file, it should actually respond in a virtual host that we're passing from drone. So it should be something like do nuc to do states.contena works. Let's see if it works. It's running the final phase, the deployment. It created the to-do stage stack. And now it's deploying the actual stack service called app. And let's see if we have something here. Oh, it should look like this. Let's see which one. This one. Yeah. It's here. Responding in that configured domain. I have another window that says 503 because this is the production. And now that we can see that everything works in a staging environment, we could promote this to production. And because we have full automation, we just hit the button in a GitHub. If I found that tab somewhere, let's see. No, I didn't. It's this one. This is the repo. Let's go to releases. Create a new one. Yes. 0.1.0. Initial release. Great. Publish. Now if we look into the drone, it should notice that there was a tag and we created a release in a GitHub. It tries to do the same thing but for production now. And why is that? It's because we had this build production and a deploy production pipeline steps that happens only when tag is created. So that's basically it. Let's see if it actually works. Any questions at this point? Okay.
Thank you. On the interface page, you had under services the ports. So is that configuring a firewall at all, or?
You mean this
right there.
one?
Yeah.
So by default, you shouldn't expose any services to internet. By the way, there is this production application coming up. And by default, your services are secured within this private network. And you can see here this ingress LB stack that is actually exposing two ports, HTTP and HTTPS. And other services can just link to it. So they can define the load balancer configuration for each service, and everything goes through this load balancer stack. And you could actually put DigitalOcean load balancer in front of this. Yeah. So it's secure by default.
So I guess I have a question, which is, so back to the, I guess, the web app of it. Like you mentioned that there's other ways for me to access this. If I deploy the agent to an existing cluster, whether it be on-prem or on the cloud someplace, do I need to subscribe in order to get access to this dashboard and that stuff? I guess where does
you should.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Right. How would I access it then if I didn't subscribe? The dashboard.
You don't actually have access to dashboard without subscribing. So
Okay.
if you choose not to use the Kontena cloud, then you are using the CLI tools.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like Heroku then.
It's, yeah, they compared it to Heroku. Yeah, it doesn't feel like Heroku to me, but yeah, I'll let you.
Yeah, it's not the same thing.
Okay. So I guess at its core, when you think about distributed systems and container-based systems, right? There's like basic components. So like what is Kontena aside from, like, yeah, if you go back to the diagram, I think it'd be helpful. Right, so the I forget what the name of the image generation tool is. Drone?
Yeah, the CI/CD tool is Drone.
Okay.
It's on the middle and on top.
Right.
If I can-
So is that something you guys build? Is that something that?
No,
Yes,
it's
just- okay.
not. It's not coming from Kontena. We are just creating a pre-made stack for it. It's open source. You can check it from GitHub.
So in thinking of a traditional distributed computing stack, where does Kontena fit in? Is it like, I know we talked about it a little bit. Is it an orchestrator?
Yep.
Okay. So basic, why would I use this instead of like Kubernetes or Mesosphere?
This makes your life a bit simpler. So you know how.
Yeah.
Of course, this is something that you have to try, but we try to make the actual, like the initial installation, the maintaining the system, and how do you interact with the system much more easier. But of course, how do you measure that?
That's not really the function of the orchestrator, right? Like the orchestrator ensures state.
Yeah, I know.
So that's not like the web UI.
Kontena has orchestrator, but it has much more than that. It's complete like platform. So we have integrated the load balancer, VPN, stack files that are like the Kubernetes Helm. They are integrated here. And so this is like complete package. You don't have to go around and find pieces. So that's maybe the biggest difference there.
Oh, hi. I have a question about, so when you push changes to production, I'd like to know where, so you want unit tests to run. I'd like to know where is that happening?
You mean the actual build or the, let's see. You mean this deployment phase?
Yeah, where's that set up?
Basically, the configuration is in version control inside this to-do example repo. So it's basically this drone.yaml file that describes what to do when you're pushing the code or creating a tag in a Git. So it's a YAML file, and each of these steps are just like, you know, Docker images that are run in a pipeline. So the deployment is using Kontena CLI, that is actually Docker image, Docker container, and we just pass the credentials and the Kontena YAML stack file to it, and it works. But basically everything is inside the version control except the secrets.
So comparing it to Kubernetes, how would you rank like the pros and cons? Like, you know, apart from the fact that Kubernetes is more of a framework than a solution, and you know, like the user experience being a little not so simple, what are some other technical aspects that you would highlight in terms of Kontena that don't exist in Kubernetes?
Yeah, basically, I feel that Kubernetes is like a great framework to build these kind of things, but if you don't have like a hosted solution for those Kubernetes stuff, you end up building these things by yourself. So you are building to the system the network layer. You probably will nowadays get the service discovery, but it's like trying to build the same system that Kontena is already providing. Of course, you will get more flexibility from a Kubernetes, but it's a trade-off always.
Sure. And like you're highlighting Kontena as a developer-friendly tool, right?
Yeah.
So does it also make it friendly for the test engineer or automation engineer that's collaborating with the developer, or is it? How does that? I'm a test engineer, so just wanted to know from that perspective.
Yeah, if you need to interact with the system, I think Kontena will be the easier solution, but it depends. So if you need to interact with the system, we try to provide the user interface that is beautiful and simple, and it just works.
No, thank you for the for the presentation. Do you see any other additional interfaces that you plan on kind of interoperating with in the next quarter or two, from a SDLC or CI/CD pipeline standpoint?
What do you mean?
Well,
can you be more specific?
I mean, whether it's other cloud stacks, GRC or AWS or Azure, they all have their own CI/CD pipeline kind of frameworks.
Yeah.
And I think the gluing, and I think that's really one of the advantages you guys have working in the big enterprise environments, is that the gluing tends to be very loosely coupled.
Yeah.
Because everyone adopting all these architectures says loosely coupled everywhere is great, and then you have like 500 pieces loosely coupled, and then you need gluers. So I think that's one of your big advantages. So do you see any other gluing, any other kind of pulling it in to your own kind of in the old school repository standpoint, approach, so that you can then pipeline things more effectively? Does that make sense? Or?
Yeah, I think somewhere in future we will have a better integration to these pipeline things. This is already pretty easy, but of course, if you can get these things automatically set up for you, then it's even better. So maybe it's coming someday. Cannot say more about that. Yeah.
We'll take one more question. I think in the back. Okay, go ahead.
Hi. So actually, this is more related to. Is it on? Yeah. So more related to the private data center kind of a thing. So you said that we can have this container tool in the private cloud also, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, from a maintenance perspective of this whole tool, I mean, how easy or difficult it is to maintain the tool itself? The container itself. I mean, when you say you can customize it for a private cloud, I'm thinking that you have to install it and other things, right?
Yeah, basically the installation to private cloud is basically you need to have Docker engine. That's the lowest part here, and the actual Kontena agent and the master also runs in a container. So actually you can bring this whole system up with just the Docker Compose. So it's really easy, and you can also use our Ubuntu packages or whatever. And when you have the system up, it's almost like self-maintaining. So if you upgrade the master node, the actual worker nodes will auto-upgrade, and you don't have to, maintain the system so much. So that's a big benefit there.
All right. Thank you, Jari. He'll be hanging out. So after our lightning talk, we'll have the raffle. He'll be hanging out. You can come up, ask more questions. I got a bunch of tickets, so let's take 5 minutes. Go ahead and grab some Korean tacos, some chips. If you tweeted and I haven't given you a ticket, come up here and I'll give you your tickets. And then we'll have Paul with the lightning talk, and then the raffle for this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful slippers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jari. Thank you.
Thanks.
Paul, hand it over. Paul's going to talk to us about, this is Kubernetes. This is Kubernetes related, right? Sort of, kind of. Not really. It's CI/CD for using DO, but it's a developer workflow from GitHub, and he's going to share with us some of the lessons that they learned in building dependable I/O.
Thank you. So 2 quick questions. Can everyone hear me? And can everyone read the text on screen? So my name is Paul. I work at Def Method, a consultancy here in the city. And we're building a product called Dependable that automatically opens pull requests for gem updates to Ruby applications. And we have a lot of tasks that are running inside of Docker containers. And we, a few months ago, ran up against limitations of running many jobs in a single droplet. So we were looking at ways to scale out and looked at Kubernetes and a few other orchestration services. And something we ran into was those tools are excellent if you have containers to run. They don't necessarily help with building the containers in the first place. And since we're running jobs for individual repositories, there are quite a few secrets to manage. And that makes it difficult to publish to registries. So we worked on a way to run Docker tasks automatically using dynamically generated containers. There are 2 cardinal rules of user input. First is don't trust it, and the second is whatever you do, don't execute arbitrary code. Well, this platform does exactly that, because the goal of Dependable is to run your test suite and open pull requests or issues depending on the status of your build after applying updates. So we have to run tasks with a GitHub token, some environment variables that the user might specify, and a number of options. So what we're doing right now is building a JSON web token containing these details, and then using a message queue, in this case, the encrypted AWS SQS, to trigger a message containing the details for the Docker job that should run. Then we have a separate service that runs the jobs. So we have here decoding the JSON token that was generated in the, say in the one environment, we have it building this token and sending it as the message. In the worker context, we have something watching for messages on the queue, and then decoding the JSON web token, pulling out the details that were originally specified. And here we have writing a dynamic Docker file. So it's going through all of the properties that were sent to the job. It has a base image, copies some internal resources that the job needs. It sets up all of the environment variables from the user. And here's a key thing. Since we're running the user's test suite, they have access to the environment, and we have to be careful about keeping any secure details out of the environment so that arbitrary code doesn't have access to it. So any details for, say, access tokens or private keys are passed in as arguments to a command that's written out to the Docker file. So the scripts, any scripts or arbitrary commands that run within the container don't have access to dependable specific environment variables. So this process writes the image, basically generates a string for the Docker file. It then writes out that dynamic Docker file to a folder based on the UUID of the project, and runs this dynamically generated command that basically builds the image, runs the command that executes the container, and then cleans up by removing the image and its associated container. We ended up using this approach because we needed to be able to run a lot of these tasks based on dynamic details without risking the sharing of secrets across environments. So this approach, maybe it's something worth considering if you have a project that needs to run dynamically created Docker tasks on some regular interval or in response to some event. The architecture that we're currently using for this is a job that runs on a server with the Docker agent configured to have the Docker storage on a large block storage partition, which allows us to have multiple servers running jobs, allows us to scale more effectively without having to sacrifice the secrecy and localization of details for these jobs. And that's basically where we are right now. There are many developments happening, so it may well be that in a few months there's a new, better way to handle this. This is the approach we settled on to deal with the difficulty of building the containers in the first place to be able to run them on different environments. Thank you. Are there... if you have a couple minutes, I'm happy to...
Yeah, you want to show us?
Answer any questions about the
questions?
approach or...
All right. Go ahead.
Can you show this to us in action?
Yeah. Show the... Yes. So these jobs are running in the background on a service. So effectively the UI... pull this up. So we have, from a user perspective, they are connecting a repository, so specifying the repo, the location of the gem file, their commands, and when they click to connect the repo, it runs these various tasks in the background. So here's an example. One task is to load dependencies, so it populates all this data, and when the task completes, the ultimate output is opening a pull request showing the details of what changed in Ruby dependencies. So this is the ideal case. It is able to create this output from running jobs in the background. The user interaction is through pull requests. When you have an error, this is an example of some jobs will capture the error output and communicate back to the API the details from standard out for an error that occurred within the container. It's a little tricky to demonstrate the deeply nested operations as they're running within a container, but that's sort of a high level preview of how basically of how the containers run and how the jobs run and how they work together.
Is there something similar for NPM?
Question was, is there something similar for NPM? So for automated monitoring and updating of dependencies, there's a product called Greenkeeper. That's probably the main one for NPM, Greenkeeper. I think it's greenkeeper.io. And it's a space in which there are more tools emerging. Anything else? All right, let's get to it. Everybody have their tickets? Thank you, Paul. For the honors here, bring up my partner in crime, Nancy.
So before we do this, I wanted to say a little bit more about what Hacktoberfest is. So Hacktoberfest is something that we've been doing. Oh, by the way, I'm Nancy. I'm the events manager here at DigitalOcean. So Hacktoberfest, it's something we've been doing for now. It's 4 years. This is the 4th year we've been doing it. It's a month-long celebration of open source, and it's sort of like an online hacking type of celebration where we encourage people to contribute to projects on GitHub. And the idea is that you have to contribute 4 pull requests, and in order to, after you do that, you earn a free T-shirt, and each year it's different. It's a limited edition Hacktoberfest T-shirt. Last year we had about 12,000 participants globally. And this year, we're already seeing 1,000 people already sign up just to get information about when we go live with that. So If you want to participate, I encourage you to go to hacktoberfest.digitalocean.com and just input your email there, and we'll let you know whenever sign up begins. And we give you a list of different projects that are looking for contributors and things like that. And then the events that we're doing globally, we encourage people to come together and sort of do the pull requests together. We'll be bringing maintainers of projects from GitHub that need contributors and help with their projects, and you can help contribute to their projects or other things that you're interested in. So that's that. Now for the slippers.
Are we going to start with the slippers, or should we go with the
hoodie?
The hoodie first.
Okay, we'll go with the hoodie
We're gonna go? All right. By the way, Nancy, I want to thank Nancy. This is Nancy's last hurrah for the meetups. If you've come to meetups here, Nancy is the one that makes all the food and a lot of the seating and a lot of the logistical stuff happen. And she's going to be focusing on larger events like Hacktoberfest, and Mo is going to be helping moving forward.
This is her first week here.
This is her first week
here.
here.
And she'll be taking over the events that we host here in the second floor space.
And so big thank you to Nancy for all the stuff. All right. First hoodie.
476.
Wouldn't that be crazy if that happened? 379, 478.
379.
478. All right.
You get the hoodie.
So that's the extra small. So
if you need a different size, hold on to it.
Hold on to it,
We'll
and I'll give you the right size. I just
wanted
to have it on display.
Big. Yeah, here.
So I also run all the swag production and come up with different unique ideas. One of my first projects was I wanted to create Sammy slippers, mainly because part of your onboarding, whenever you're hired here at DigitalOcean, you get to choose slippers for free your feet Fridays. You go through, you're fill out your W-10, all this, and choose your slippers for the first day. And so I thought a way to bring our users and then our outside community into our own internal culture was to create Sammy slippers, and Sammy is our mascot. So you'll see Sammy coming in different forms, and he comes in slipper form.
Yeah.
So.
Relatedly, if you don't win here, they're always hiring. So
we are hiring aggressively. You name it, we got to roll for it. And if you don't win these, they're also for sale at store.digitalocean.com.
At cost.
At cost. We do not make any profit off of it. Okay.
Oh.
379 505. Dun, dun, dun.
One size fits all, so. Thank you very much for coming. There's some events next week. I think we'll probably put them up on the DO meetup page.
Not next week's.
Not next. Okay.
That one's actually, it's something we host here. It's a private event.
The next event is the joint New York Kubernetes meetup, DO meetup, and that happens a week, 2 Wednesdays from now. So hope to see you then. Thank you for coming. Grab some food.
Thanks, everyone.